Hey guys, Ashley here, also known as the HLE fan. I'm here today with another video, and this video is going to be about the WWE, about the women's division. And certainly why I know I've done videos like this before, but honestly, I was watching this YouTuber on YouTube, and he was talking about the Divas division. He was comparing it from the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era to now. And he made a lot of good points that I kind of want to address in my own form of this video. So I know I made videos like this before, but please just hear me out, and then people could just probably be like, I want her to shut up with the same rants. Okay, let's just get to it. So in his video, he was making claims on why the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era women had better character work, better. He didn't say better matches, but mostly he was talking about character work and personalities and the storylines going into those matches. And I'm going to back him up and say I think he is absolutely right because I am someone who goes back and watches things from the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression. I am only 19 years old, so I was not born yet when all that stuff was happening. Actually, my time would be around Ruthless Aggression Era, probably like late Ruthless Aggression Era. And the reason why I know all this stuff is because of my dad and my uncle and a lot of my family members grew up watching wrestling. So I just had the experience to watch all the things that I couldn't watch before. And I think he's absolutely right. Like, I know that I blame the Four Horsewomen for everything, and I feel like they do play a big part in that. And when it comes to burying everyone and not giving everyone else a time to shine, I feel like they play a really huge part on why the division is not progressing and why it's not growing. But I think another reason too why the division isn't progressing or why it's not growing is because they're making everyone into a main eventer. There's no diversity in the division. And that was something that he said that just kind of like spoke to me because he made a really good point. He was talking about how someone like Tori Wilson would be nowhere near the women's title championship. And that makes perfect sense. Tori Wilson, her only character trait, she had personality, she had charisma, but she couldn't wrestle. She wasn't really a great wrestler. She couldn't really talk on the mic. She didn't really talk that much. I don't remember if there was ever a time where she really spoke unless it was like backstage vignettes, but like on a microphone, not really. And I feel like that's what her character was. She played her part. Her character was just sex appeal, was coming out here and putting on vignettes, water balloons, bikini contests, pie eating, whatever. That was what her character was, and she played it well because she knew her role. And you would never see her fight someone like Lena or Trish or Molly Holly or Jazz and have them take her seriously. This chick who only does vignettes with sexual appeal is going to challenge me for my title and I'm going to take her seriously. That doesn't make sense. That is showing you the diversity in a division because why would someone like Tori, Stacy, or Candice? Hell, Candice Michelle became a former champion, but I don't really feel she became a champion, but I feel like it was just kind of bizarre to take her seriously after she didn't really have any real build to just having her character change. But that's a different rant, so whatever. Even Candice Michelle before she had that character jump, her challenging someone like Lena in a hardcore match is just laughable because you have no wrestling experience. So why would Trish take her seriously? So those were just some points that I thought was like really, really interesting to me because I'm starting to see a lot of that now. Everyone from the jobbers to the lower mid carders to even the upper mid carders are in positions where they shouldn't be when it comes to the women's division. Like Tony Storm, for example, she debuted and she automatically got a match against Charlotte for the title. Now, I'm not a fan of Charlotte. I'm not a fan of any of the Four Horsewomen. But for Charlotte to take someone like Tony Storm seriously, who came from NXT, like you're still green and you just came to the main roster and you win a number one contender match without having no real journey to getting this opportunity. You had no real feud, no real memorable match to getting to this opportunity. You're gonna challenge me, a I think Charlotte is a 14-time women's champion. That is so ridiculous. A 14-time women's champion. You're gonna challenge a 14-time women's champion for a title and expect to win. That's just ridiculous. That's so unrealistic. And the fact that the fans got so upset because Charlotte beat her, it's like, well, what the hell did you expect to happen? As much as I don't like Charlotte, as much as I'm tired of her burying everyone, well, in this scenario, it made sense. Toni Storm just came to the main roster and she's challenging a 14-time women's champion and expecting to win the match. That doesn't make any sense. If anything, she should be playing her card in the lower mid card and working her way up to that main event spot. It's like they're just shoving everyone into the main event, and that just doesn't make sense to me. And even though this is about the women, I've also seen it too with the males roster. It's just getting ridiculous. To why the hell is everyone just in the main event all of a sudden? Like, why is no one working their way up to the main event? Like Austin Theory, he has no business holding that Money Bank contract. And I hope he loses it. Like, I hope Triple H does something where he has him lose it to somebody else, because he doesn't know what he's doing with that, and he didn't even work his way up to that. I don't care what anyone says. He had Vince McMahon behind him. He won United States Championship, and he had a match against Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. And that qualifies him to win Money in the Bank. Like, I sometimes wonder, do these fans hear themselves when they say things like this? It's like, are you serious? He had no real interesting feud. He had no real interesting match. He had nothing. Like, he's not really all that interesting. He's not really all that charismatic. He's annoying, but at least he has some variety on the mic, even though he's constantly repeating himself and there's nothing new on the mic. Like, he's not it. And it's not working. And I really feel like Austin Theory has no business being anywhere near the main event with someone like Roman Reigns. So that's just ridiculous to me. But back to women's division. And I feel like he's absolutely right about this. There needs to be more diversity. There needs to be more valets. If you can't wrestle, but you have a personality and you have charisma, you need to be a valet. Stop forcing everyone to be wrestlers, because it just doesn't work. Like Lana, like Selena Vega, they don't work. They're not working, and they should have just stayed managers. I know Selena Vega was a wrestler in TNA. I never watched TNA, even though I heard the women's division is good. I might try to see if I can find some videos with TNA and see what they do better than WWE's women. But I heard their women's roster wrestling, when it came to wrestling, was really good back then. But I know Selena was a wrestler down there, but in WWE, her position was a valet. And I don't think she really did anything to help Andrade get over. Neither did Lana. If anything, I feel like the reason, I think they used Lana a lot because Rusev was just so boring. There was nothing really about him that was interesting. He couldn't talk. And I think once Rusev started talking, you started really noticing his flaws, because what made him interesting was the fact that he was like this big monster and he didn't talk. His dominance, his presence spoke from himself. And once he started talking, you started realizing his flaws and realized that you couldn't take him seriously anymore. And I feel like that's where Lana's position was supposed to come in. She was supposed to cut his promos for him, play up to his character, talk about how he's going to dominate and decimate his opponents. But once they started taking the manager role with Lana and started focusing more on her sex appeal, that's when Rusev started to fade, and they started to focus more on Lana. And that's why they turned her and they forced her into a wrestling position, because the focus was starting to come more on her. And I think that was a terrible idea. I'm not against her, the sex appeal being focused on her, because obviously she's a beautiful woman, and I have nothing against hyper-feminine female wrestlers. But Lana couldn't wrestle. She couldn't wrestle, but she could talk on the mic. And I feel like her position was better on the outside of the ring than inside the ring, because she just didn't check all the boxes for what you're looking for in a total superstar. She couldn't talk, she couldn't really tell stories, and she couldn't wrestle. Like, she was a good seller, but she didn't really have a good moveset, and she was kind of sloppy at points. Like, I feel like she was just so, like, all the time she was there, she just never really seemed to progress. And I hate to say that about anybody. Like, she never really seemed to grow. Like, it just seemed like she was always in the same place every time she was in the ring. And, you know, that takes time. But it's like, maybe your better position is on the outside than inside the ring. And I feel like that's where she should have had just stayed, instead of them forcing her into a position where she didn't belong. And so you see my point, that they're forcing everyone into the main event, and there's no one having journeys to get into the titles or anything. Like, I can't even tell you who's a babyface, who's a heel anymore. Like, that's how bad the division has become. Like, I have no idea what's going on with Liv. I don't know if Bray Wyatt is possessing her. I guess Bray Wyatt wants Alexa Bliss back. I really don't want to see that again. It was interesting the first time, even though a lot of people were against him and Liv being together. I thought it was really interesting because she kind of carried that feud with Randy Orton all by herself. And how many people can say that a female wrestler carried a feud, helped carry a feud? Like, not many. Like, not many females can say they have done that except a few of them. So it's just amazing that, and I feel like if Alexa Bliss does go back with the Fiend, whatever he is calling himself now, I'm interested to see how it is. Much as I don't really want to see that, what I'm really interested in is seeing her go back to her heel self, and seeing them bring back the Alexa Bliss that's gone down the drain since Triple H been in charge. But you see what he's talking about. Like there's no more diversity. And if you're going to be a powerhouse, be a powerhouse. Don't let the powerhouses talk or anything. It ruins the credibility. Their presence should just talk for their presence should speak for themselves. If they can't cut promos and they can't cut promos, have someone else help cut the promos and carry the storyline. Like Jesus Christ, it's like it's so hard for WWE to find anything consistent to do with these women wrestlers, and it's sad. It's like really sad they can't find anything. They can't give anything to these women wrestlers. But that's what he basically was just talking about, that there's no more diversity, that they're just forcing everyone to be into the main event, and it never used to be like that. And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. The reason why people love Trish so much is because Trish, at first when she came here, she was a valet. She was a valet. She was just used for sex appeal. But once they started giving her a chance to see what she can do, she was amazing in the ring. She can cut promos. She can work with the male superstars, and she could tell storylines. She had amazing rivalry. She had amazing matches, and she never needed anyone else to help carry her. She always was able to elevate. She had star power. She checked all the boxes. Trish was amazing. I love Trish. She's a pioneer for everything that's going on, and I feel like it's just crazy to me that that's a journey. Her going from that and then her being a 7-time women's champion, working her ass off to get those accolades. That's a journey. Now they're just forcing everyone to these accolades position, trying to give everyone all these accomplishments without any real substance, any real motivation, or any real enhancement to why they got these accomplishments. And another thing too that he talked about was the men and women not interacting. And I feel like this is one of the things that has always been like pissing me off lately, is the fact that men and women are not having storylines. Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton was like the last real interaction to me, and I don't understand why WWE is keeping them away from each other. I think this all has something to do with them thinking that if a man gets involved with a female wrestler, that it takes away from what the females are doing. And I don't understand why they're thinking that, because that's just so dumb to me. Honestly, I feel like what we could use is more, not like lovey-dovey storylines, but just some interaction with the men with females. Like I want to see something. I want to see a soap opera. I want to see something toxic. I want to see like maybe a partnership, something. It doesn't have to be romantically. I just want to see something. Like I don't understand why they're keeping them away. They can't talk about each other. They can't even mention each other. Like, and here's one of the things that I always thought was funny, and it was a feud with Roman Reigns in 2016 he had with Rusev. And I don't know why, but every time I watch this feud, or I watch it with my sister, me and her, we get so infuriated because in this feud, it was about Lana, and then it became about the United States Championship out of thin fucking air. What I didn't understand when me and her watched it is that Lana was able to seduce every other male opponent that Rusev had a feud with, but she couldn't seduce Roman Reigns. Like that makes no sense. So you're trying to draw the line between that, but when it comes to someone else, you can make that happen. Like that's just so infuriating, that the fact that she couldn't seduce Roman Reigns to give up the title or not fight her husband, but she can seduce someone else. Like that's just so infuriating. I don't know why they do certain things like this. I don't know if it's because some of them some of the men or women might be married, or their relationships and maybe their partners are not comfortable with them seeing doing things like this. But I feel this is an entertainment company. It's like watching episode 1 Tree Hill. You want to see things, you want to see soap opera stuff, and you want to see things that's going to make you raise your eyebrows, make you feel excited for the next thing on Raw next week or SmackDown. You want to be excited for that next interaction between the male and female superstar. So I don't understand why they're doing this. I honestly, it kind of irritates me that, as much as I hate to say it, that someone like Roman Reigns has not had a female storyline yet. I feel like it's ridiculous that he hasn't had one. I just want to see him interact with a female superstar. It doesn't have to be romantically, like I said. It could be like a partnership. Like, there's so many storylines you could do with Roman Reigns and a female superstar. I just don't understand why WWE is not doing it. They're not capitalizing on it. Like, why the hell isn't there not a female in the bloodline? Like, why the hell isn't Naomi back? Why are they not asking Naomi to come and join the bloodline? It makes the most sense. Everyone knows that her and Jimmy are married, but yet you're not going to put her in the bloodline anyway. Like, it's just so irritating. But anyway, that's my rant on why I think the women's division is also going up in shambles, because there's no diversity and because they're trying to force everyone into positions that they don't belong in. But even with all that, I still think the Four Horsewomen play a big part in why the division is going downhill, because they bury everyone to put themselves on top and they don't elevate anybody. But that's my opinion. I backed it up with some facts. And just thanks for listening.